Fox 5 Amplified with this Mariah Janos from the sports department. It's been a while.
Yes.
Mostly because you guys have been so darn busy. Like trying to catch up with anybody from the sports department has been nearly impossible. But now that the Knights run is over and things are calming down just a little bit.
Just
but
a
right
smidge.
before we
Not
started,
much.
Mariah said, I really need things to slow down.
Right. Yeah, no, there is a ton going on. I mean, we're fresh off of the NHL draft right now. So, of course, the Stanley Cup run ends, zero downtime after they lose. You think, oh, maybe we get a little bit of a break. No, you thought wrong, because then they had the NHL draft, and what we thought was going to be a pretty lax draft was not, because it began with the Knights trading away their top goal scorer from the last two seasons in Pavel Dorofeyev, going to the New York Rangers. In exchange, they get a first-round pick, which they did not have coming into this draft. So that was huge. With that pick, they ended up trading back 2 spots to select Juho Piparinen out of Finland, one of the youngest players in the draft. A lot of time to develop him. He's a defenseman, so that will be interesting to see how that all comes along, which then bleeds into quite literally the week that we're at right now, which is development camp for the Golden Knights. So all those top prospects, some of the names you heard called in the draft over the weekend, and some of the names that we heard from years past in the last few years, are all playing at City National Arena for development camp, seeing where they're at. They're being evaluated. And then you've got the trade deadline, free agency coming up on July 1st. And that will be interesting, because the reason that Pavel Dorofeyev went over to the Rangers was to clear up cap space. He wanted to make a lot more money. He wasn't getting the money that he deserved as one of the top scorers for this team. So now he's making like $11 million a year with New York. He was making under $2 million a year here.
Huge difference.
And so there's no bad blood there. And in exchange, the Knights got a ton of draft capital, which they were in desperate need of. So it was a win-win situation there. It just kind of stinks. But it's going to be interesting now that they've cleared up that space, what they end up doing with free agency starting. There are a lot of big names across the league that have Vegas circled as a desired destination, just with the way that the organization has run in its first 9, now heading into year 10 of existence. So it'll be interesting there with the Knights. And that puts a bow on hockey.
Hockey. So I want to bring up one thing before we move on.
Yes, of course.
And that was, I went to the Battle for Vegas over the weekend.
Yeah.
So you have Team Smith, Team Bowers, and the hockey team, they won.
Yes. Crazy.
They won, quite a bit. I mean, it shows you that park when we were there for the A's series with the Brewers and the Rockies. People were hitting home runs like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Even with the softball, I think there were like 3 or 4 like out of the park home runs. But the game was like, I don't know, I think it was like 37-25 or something crazy like that. But it was really neat to see. I don't know if you've never been, for folks that maybe want to go next year. You get up close and personal with these players that you don't normally see, especially that closely. And then you get to see them doing stuff that they don't normally do, because, when the Raiders were out in the outfield, people were like, well, gosh, I hope they'd be able to catch a ball. But it's totally different. It's, it's small little ball. It's flying way up in the air. You can't see it when it's coming down. There's lights. And, of course, nobody wants to get injured.
Right.
As the season's about to get
Which
underway.
has happened in years past, which is like you never want a Raider or a Golden Knight to go down because of an injury they sustained in a charity softball game.
Exactly.
But it does, in fact, happen.
It does. But it was a good time over the weekend. And, Team Smith kicked it off by winning pretty boldly there, and it was a fun thing. So anything about the Raiders, since we're on the Knights Raiders?
Well, the Raiders, it's their month off. This is their summer break. They wrapped up mini camp a few weeks back. They've got 40 days off before training camp gets underway towards the end of July, and that's when the competition starts heating up. In the quarterback room, will it be Kirk Cousins, will it be Fernando Mendoza, and also just seeing all of the different moves they made this offseason, how they piece them all together. So that will be interesting, but right now things are pretty quiet around the Raiders organization, which is good.
It's nice.
We like quiet.
I think people are excited, though. I mean,
Yes.
you're right. There's going to be this question about who's going to start. But, the quarterbacks, they're all around town. And Fernando Mendoza was here. A friend of mine saw him out at dinner with his parents.
Oh.
So there's see, everybody goes, oh, he's so
Right.
sweet. He's so, down to earth. Man of the people.
Yes.
And we hope that continues. And I'm sure it will when he's here. But, he's maybe he's gone for a couple weeks here. But he's here in town, and he's, taking in all that Vegas has to offer with his family. And that's the difference, being able to see people around town, when you, and I don't know, I've only lived here 10 months. So it's, a city like Milwaukee, where I was from, like I would run into Giannis on like a weekly basis.
Yeah.
You know, like somewhere, there's Giannis, like he's just around.
He's very easy to spot.
Very well, that too, yes. But you know, here it's a little different. So when you start hearing stories about him being out and about and in town and attending different games, I think they went to some of the Aces games. I know they went to the Knights games. It'll be a different era of quarterback.
Absolutely, and there is truly a sense of optimism. It may be a little cautious optimism, of course, because history is not in the Raiders' favor, but it does feel like a new era, a new regime is in place. Mark Davis has put all the right pieces in place in terms of front office, coaches, now the players as well. So we're all optimistic. There's good vibes around the Raiders organization. We'll see how long it lasts, if it's sustainable, but I'm feeling pretty good about it as well. So we'll see what happens.
Well, you have all these other caliber teams, high caliber teams here, and you know, I was thinking that this weekend at this charity softball game, you're like, the Raiders, everybody wants them to do well.
The most expensive team here.
The big team,
right.
The NFL, whatever, and they just can't quite get to that spot. And you have all these other teams that are relatively new, especially speaking franchise-wise, that are in these, and then if we get an NBA team, are they going to, that demand for the teams to go to the finals in their respective sport here in Vegas is different than I think anywhere else. It's interesting.
It's a weird amount of pressure that you wouldn't expect in this market because 10 years ago, there were no professional franchises here. And now there is such a need for a team from virtually every league, whether it be the 4 major professional sports or those niche leagues, which have also thrived here as well, which has been so surprising. When I first got here, I was like, there's a league for that? Like, literally every league under the sun, there's something here. But yeah, I mean, to your point, the Knights made the Cup final in their first season. The Aces, since relocating to Las Vegas, have been a juggernaut in the W. And it's just been, the Raiders are an iconic franchise. The NFL is always better when the Raiders are good. So I know they're working to get there. But there is this fan base has gotten accustomed to winning and wants results. And I think we start seeing that pressure applied in UNLV athletics. Obviously, the Raiders feel it. And then, if there's an NBA team coming to town, which there very well could be, there will be a pressure to perform and deliver as well, especially with the big ownership names that have been thrown out there. It's like, okay, you knew what you were doing when you were a player. Can that translate to an ownership group?
Well, let's talk about basketball. We'll get to Aces in a second, but let's go with the NBA here. There was some news that was out there today about another potential site for an arena, which we've heard a couple different ones here and there, but this one has some pretty big names behind it. And so what is the latest? And I know that the owners are going to vote, and that's going to happen actually here in Vegas, right?
Yes. So what has all transpired in the last week or so is pretty insane, because you had Bill Foley announcing on the 10-year anniversary of him acquiring the Knights that he plans to acquire an NBA franchise for Las Vegas. And his goal is to have them play in T-Mobile Arena because he is a minority owner there as well. And he's willing to put in however million for the upgrades, which is great. But then you have the competition now exactly a week later announcing that they have purchased the final plot of land that completes what they need to build the Diamond Arena, which I'm sure everyone's seen the renderings. Looks pretty insane.
Yeah.
Now, to me, the first question is, what big name is behind this development group, this Diamond Arena? They have to know something that we don't, right? Because why are you putting the wheels in motion when no votes have been passed yet, when you've already got the competing billionaire pushing for T-Mobile Arena? I feel like you have to be pretty sure of yourself that you've got something on lock to start buying up all the land and making the plans and getting ready to go. Now, with that being said,
it's the southern part of the strip too, by the way. Right?
Yes, it's right. It's literally going to be Sports Corner should it be developed, because you've got Mandalay Bay where the Aces play right there. You've got Allegiant Stadium right across the freeway, and then you've got T-Mobile Arena right down the street. So it would be a pretty cool sports quad, if you will. But yes, NBA Summer League is coming to town. They have the Board of Governors vote that will officially set wheels in motion. And that is going to be very interesting, because once that happens, I'm wondering how quickly will we find out who has won the bidding war and what is going to happen. I've always felt that regardless of who the owner is, they should start out at T-Mobile Arena while something gets built. Why rush it? If the goal is to have that team start in the 27-28 season, that's crazy. Although things do go up pretty quickly here. But to me, say they go with Bill Foley and his partners. Are they still going to proceed with all this land purchased across from Mandalay? What are they going to do with this Diamond Arena? Not enough concerts are going to keep the lights on there.
No. Well, they wouldn't build it probably.
But then what do you do?
No, that land's worth money regardless.
Right. So. I don't know. It's very interesting. To me, it just felt like such a sure thing move. And then they're already planning out the tunnel that'll connect to the other piece of property for private jets and all the things. And I'm like, okay, you've really thought this through. What's going on?
Well, we know the leagues really love, all the leagues.
Yes.
New places.
Right.
New stadiums, new whatever, arenas.
It's the flashy thing,
but also then they move, special events around to them. And we know the NBA likes to do special events here in Vegas. So if they have a brand new arena, they can do that. So I don't know how much that sways the owner, the vote on whether or not somebody that's going to build something new or you're going to, not that T-Mobile is old. I mean, it's only, it's not even 10 years old yet.
It does need upgrades.
Yeah.
But still. Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting to see, because I think part of the appeal for the NBA as well has been, you look at the NBA Cup and everything they rolled out for that, and, Vegas has really created a reputation for bringing the highest level of entertainment and the quality and just the little details that make it feel flashy and fancy and like you're at like a real event, not even just a sporting event. It feels like it goes beyond the sports of it all. So I know that's appealing as well. It's very interesting to see how it all shakes out, but I feel like we're gonna have some answers sooner rather than later.
And deep pockets, no matter who takes it over.
Oh yeah, I mean
you were talking $7-8 billion to get in. That's not including the arena.
No, that's not including it. So it'll be really interesting to see what ownership group forms and wins this bid, because obviously there's no one person that's going to be taking on this load. It's going to be a whole group of partners and big names, I would assume. So
before we move on, we finish, let's talk about the Aces. And they just recently have the Cup coming up, or the game.
Yes,
they have.
the Commissioner's Cup Championship.
Yeah.
Yes. So for that, they are heading to New York to take on the New York Liberty. It's one of the best rivalries.
Yeah,
it is like the rivalry
just played, right,
in the
recently?
WNBA. Yes, they just played. The Liberty won by 11. It was a very intense game, as it always is with these two teams. The emotions run extremely high. Becky Hammon was all kinds of fired up.
That's right.
Yeah, she was about to take a swing at the ref. She felt that her team wasn't getting the calls that they deserved. She's probably right. The officiating is kind of a mess across the WNBA right now, if you see any headlines regarding that, and someone named Caitlin Clark. But the Aces right now rolling pretty good. They're second best record in the WNBA, and whoever wins this Commissioner's Cup final, each player gets $30,000. It's a $500,000 prize pool. So that's what they're playing for. They're also, playing for bragging rights. And again, this Aces Liberty matchup never gets old, and it's always extremely intense. So you know that the Aces have a chip on their shoulder heading into New York. It's always loud at the Barclays Center. It's always a great show. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens there. But the Aces are rolling. They're working their way back to full strength, which is always good to add depth with this roster. But they're cooking right now.
The Barclays Center, that's where they just did the draft, right?
Yeah.
And then right after that, we were talking about Giannis earlier. I saw him and some other folks watching the Aces here in Vegas.
Yeah.
Came to see the game. So here we go.
No one stops. Yeah, no.
You don't get a break.
We don't get a break, but it's the best kind of not getting a break.
Yeah.
Could be worse. Could be a lot worse. We're watching games.
I know when you guys are busy in the sports department, it's generally something fun.
Right.
When we're busy in the news department, it's generally not.
Yeah. So that's why, and that is why I chose sports.
Yeah. Good choice.
Sums it up pretty.
If I knew enough about sports, maybe I'd come over there too.
Yep.
But I don't want to embarrass the rest of everybody. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. Taking time out of your busy schedule. That's Fox Side Amplified, and we'll see you next time.